Well, as long as we're busting some myths, there's one that says that, that India and China should be cooperating. They both dealt with colonialism. They're both developing countries, uh, but fails to understand that fails to understand what you've called comprehensive national power. Can you tell us a little bit about that and just how this affects how China treats India?
Sure. So that's my version of intellectual property theft. I didn't invent the term; I stole it from the Chinese Communist Party think tanks. They use this term, comprehensive national power, to rank countries. I mean, when you talk about it, it sounds crazy, but a lot of things that happen in the Chinese Communist Party system sound crazy. But this is a big one. So they have this system where each country is ascribed a numerical value and for its comprehensive national power. And the goal is obviously for the Chinese state to be number one in the world in terms of comprehensive national power. Now, when we think about national power, the typical things that you would include would be economic power, GDP, military, those sorts of things. The Chinese Communist Party way of doing it can vary by think tank, and it is opaque. But we know that it includes things that we wouldn't consider part of our national power. So, for example, if you're looking at a place like Solomon Islands, if you have very good intel files and have bought off half of the leadership, that goes towards China's comprehensive national power and detracts from Solomon Islands' national power. Similarly, you might have lithium in your country, but if it's being extracted by a Chinese company, that goes to China's comprehensive national power. And of course, Chinese companies and Chinese individuals are, because of the 2017 National Intelligence Law, compelled to support the Chinese state. So that is a way of expanding comprehensive national power through Chinese individuals, often by coercion, and Chinese companies. So they have this very comprehensive way of looking at power and power projection, and it's incredibly important. And if you look at comprehensive national power, it's a relative metric. So you can the standard way that we think about a competition is you try to win, but if you're China, you can lose, but if the other guy loses even more, you're still winning. So that relative component of it makes it so that it's not just a zero-sum game. It can actually be a negative game as long as the other guy loses more. And that's a kind of very important thing to understand. And it explains, for example, I think personally, what you saw around COVID. So whatever happened with COVID, they realized they had a problem, and they blocked internal flights, but pushed for external flights. And we've had it from President Panuelo, for example, who's one of the few world leaders who's willing to go on record of the Federated States of Micronesia. But the pressure that the Chinese were pushing were to keep international flights from China going, even though internal flights out of Wuhan were being blocked. So that makes sense in a comprehensive national power mindset where you're going to get hit, your economy is going to hurt. So what do? You try to make sure everybody else is hurt also. And in that buffer time zone, you try to position yourself so that you can, corner the market on PPE, or you can, do whatever you need to do to ensure that your comprehensive national power is hurt less than everybody else's. So and of course fentanyl is another big one. The way that it's killing, Chinese linked fentanyl is killing minimum 70, 80,000 Americans a year. Every American who dies, that's an entire family that's destroyed. That is a huge detrimental effect on communities and societies, and at families at the individual level, and that hurts the U.S.'s comprehensive national power. But in a relative sense, it helps the Chinese. So for me, I found it a very helpful way of understanding how the Chinese Communist Party can do things that I, as a just normal human being, find unthinkable.
There's a reason why I don't like communists.
So is this a communist thing, or is this kind of like a CCP thing, the comprehensive national power metric?
So as far, I mean, I don't know. It's a good question. It's a good question. I would, I think that, and again, I don't if it would be communist or authoritarian or dictatorships generally. I don't know. I mean, this is embedded in a way that in the system that can really only be effective. Like I don't know whether Iran thinks the same way. Like I'm trying to think of other countries that will damage other enemy countries to such a degree. And you've got the kind of usual thing that you'd have with Russian disinformation campaigns or things like that, or things. But the stuff that the Chinese Communist Party is doing, I've never seen before. What do you think?
Well, I'm thinking of some of the Soviet infiltration into American culture, going back to like the 60s, maybe even earlier, but to kind of demoralize America and disrupt academia, disrupt the traditional family structure. There was certainly some Soviet influence in that because, they had written about it, but that I don't know. I don't know to what degree that was the Soviet Union pushing everything, but that does seem like a kind of, lose-lose situation, right?
Yeah, well, I think so. That goes to this what's been called disintegration warfare or entropic warfare, right? Which is one of the tools of political warfare, or you can use political warfare to achieve entropic warfare gains, which is where you weaken the other country, you lower their comprehensive national power by creating a state of entropy or disintegration, fragmentation within the target state. So yes, that's definitely the Soviets did it. And in fact, I think that you see a lot of overlap between Soviet operations and Chinese Communist Party operations. And it's not incidental because the Soviets helped the Chinese Communist Party set up a lot of those systems at the beginning. And I think there's probably quite a bit of, in certain locations, cooperation between them on intelligence operations. So that would kind of make sense. And North Korea as well. I mean, you saw, for example, with Zimbabwe, North Korea helped Mugabe at the beginning, and then China kind of started to take over more. So that specific aspect of comprehensive national power, this sort of entropic warfare, this targeting, it is congruent with trying to achieve Communist Party goals, of course, which is to reshape all of society from the ground up.